Welcome to the podcast. Even more so than anything else I've said. Welcome to the programme. It is 4020 live. The board's working. Phil's just watched the game. I've just shown him the game. So you'll see his reaction to that later.
We've got cake.
We've got cake again. It's this lovely honey and blackcurrant cake.
Summer special.
As
there would have been a piece here,
but
for Mr. Child.
But he's not here.
So I'm going to eat his piece.
I think he was all prided out because he was there in Leeds.
Was he there?
Well, apparently he posted a picture of him.
Was he on a float?
I don't know. He should be, shouldn't he? Referee's float. So many different flags, so very confusing. But it was good to see Leeds. No, sadly, I've tried to put Pyongyang on the game as well, but I can't put the logo on. If anyone knows how to do the logo properly, please get in touch.
Refreshed backdrop.
Yeah, it's all Wellens, look there.
More contemporary.
All Wellens. Mikey Lewis.
I mean, it won't change.
Wellsby was at the England thing.
It hasn't changed anything. The England thing went well. I have to say, everybody's
it was 100 days ago. Now it's
last Tuesday. Everybody's quick to criticise you don't do enough and all that. That worked to me. There was I seeing social media come through as to what was happening. Turned on TalkSport 2:30 in the afternoon. Didn't expect half an hour of rugby league. George Williams, Martin Afire in the studio. Great. Hawksby and Jacobs then posting social media pictures of them in England shirts.
Great for the sponsors.
Yeah. And no matter how much they tried to talk about the Lions talk, nobody wanted to talk. They wanted to talk about how important the Ashes was.
Did you know Andy Farrell used to play rugby league?
Did he?
Apparently.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I'm waiting for his son to sign for Wigan still, but there you go. Yes, it was
I think
positivity. We've got to sell out London. There's no point doing 100 days to go in Leeds or Manchester or Newcastle because the tickets aren't there. They're in London.
And the double-decker bus.
That's London.
Which was great. Going around meeting community kids from London clubs. Great.
Well, the picture of today's podcast is George Williams kicking the ball over Tower Bridge.
It's brilliant.
Great image.
I thought, hats off to everybody who was involved and congratulations to those who organised.
Yeah, well done. More of this, please.
Yes, it was really good.
So yeah, it was enjoyable stuff.
Got the message out.
Less than 100 days to go now until the first test at Wembley. I don't know if we can sell it out. I don't know what the aim is, but
they're talking about the highest international attendance, which will be great because you're hovering around the sort of 70,000 there. We might know who the Australian coach is this week.
Is it Kevin Walters?
Well, so it's rumoured in Australia.
Is it Joel Tompkins?
Which hopefully it'll be the Kevin Walters that took Catalan to the bottom of Super League. Nice man, probably a decent coach. Took Brisbane to a grand final, but I hope his team plays like that Catalan team did. And we beat. Might be bringing Cameron Smith with him as an assistant.
Cameron Smith from the new Rugby League 26 game.
Oh, was he
he was with Andrew Ross saying things that Brian Carney's probably said.
Oh, okay.
Because we could have had Ross and Smith, but we had Woods and Carney. Stay tuned later in the week for that epic.
New world rankings out this week. Not a lot of change.
No.
But there will be a relation to what might happen if England do win the Ashes series, where they might go in the next ranking.
Because we're not far away now from Scotland versus Wales. The first ever women's international.
First ever Scotland team. With some familiar names in it. Who knew that Grace Field had Scottish ancestry? But looking forward to that. That's the week after this, isn't it? August 2nd.
Yeah, and then they play England the week after. While you're at it, Bring the Burgess out shirts too, says Carston.
I was there yesterday. I'm sure we'll be talking about it.
The Burgess effect. He'll leave quietly at the end of the season. Phil says, I could coach the Australian team. Well, we probably all could, that's true.
But we have
just go play rugby.
Teams with very talented players who haven't coalesced as teams. It will be interesting. And, I just think it adds to the mystique of what's coming. And I'm looking forward to the series with huge anticipation.
And the thing about Wembley is, and the thing about England versus Australia is, you can sell that to a wider public, not just a sporting one, which you can't do with St Helens versus whoever, or Warrington versus Whitby, because people have heard of. People have heard of Australia and England in any various sport. The trophy's interesting. It looks a bit like the World Snooker Trophy with the angled arms, very Art Deco. Is that the word I'm looking for?
It is a word. I'm not saying it. So,
watched too many episodes of Bargain Hunt.
Flogging.
Yeah, was that somewhere in Redhall when they moved out? They found the Ashes trophy.
I think they found all of these salvers.
Salvers? Is that for the? So hang on. So last week it was the day before the big meeting at Wakefield, and the day after it was the big meeting where nothing happened in Wakefield.
Did we say that nothing would happen?
I think we did, and
nothing happened, did it?
Because we went from it's going to be 14 teams, Bradford are back to no, it's not going to be 14 teams.
Well, it might be in 2027. There's a meeting at the end of this month, next week now, I believe, of the Super League clubs.
Right.
Where 14 teams will be debated because it's only they that can determine the number of teams in their competition.
I thought everything was down to IMG.
Who? No.
More on them later.
The latest scuttlebutt. Salford may well not be in Super League next year because of all their trials and tribulations.
Yep.
Phil. York being touted as the team to replace them.
What?
Now, whether that's on IMG ratings, because they're kept up to date internally, so I think they do audits every now and again. Whether they think York have now got above Toulouse or Bradford or whoever, and maybe that's a precursor to moving to 14 teams in 2027, of which they felt that perhaps York would be one. But yes, we gather. We don't do news. That a Warrington player who is coming out of contract has been offered huge amounts of money by a York team.
I think we can say Paul Vaughan because everyone on the internet knows that. So that's
probably York must have had an indication that they might be in Super League to go after a player.
I've told them.
Well, this is.
Well, we've gone international this week. David is we're always international. Carston watches, doesn't he? But we're in Africa this week because David is watching from Swakopmund in Namibia.
Oh man!
Which looks very dark.
Thank you.
Darker than here. And now I know where Namibia is because it's sent as a map. It's near Botswana, which is the home of the greatest names of football teams in the world. They've got Miscellaneous 11. That's a great name.
Like
Prisons 11. Don't know.
Maybe we should have a mid-season test against the Miscellaneous 30. Never mind the Exiles or
Botswana, and the best one of all, Botswana Meat Commission. That is a great name for. I'm going to have to put those on the.
We've had the Hull Oil and Cake Mills in the past playing in the Challenge Cup, so on a panel with that.
I used to live near them in Selby. So, welcome from Namibia to
Thank you,
David. Also on the comments, while I try and work out what I'm doing, because I was doing something else and then I got distracted, which is what this programme does. Councillor, at this point, are we having meetings for the sake of meetings?
The interesting thing, he said, trying to make something that's strategic and structural sound interesting, is that it would appear that when we go and see potential broadcasters next year, we're not now expecting to get an improved deal. That the best we are hoping for is a similar deal to the one we've got at the moment. Mm-hmm. So there doesn't need to be an awful lot of change to sell a huge new vision, because the broadcasting market is fractured. The competition isn't quite out there at the moment. I think the negotiations have come a bit too early for a strategic review to implement and see difference. So I think we're hoping that things don't get worse rather than things get better. But at the same time as that's happening, we made note of the fact that the NRL was supposed to be their timescale for renegotiating their broadcasting deal is 2027, so a year after ours. It would appear that last week Mr. Volandis and Mr. Abdo flew to America to start the negotiations. Now, the interesting thing about that is, are they going to pull forward by a year their TV deal so that we can also be included in their TV deal? And it's an alignment of, like they want to align the seasons and have more international rugby league. Are we going to get a TV deal that is simultaneous?
That'll be good.
That's interesting, isn't it?
We live in, I'm not an expert on broadcasting rights deals and stuff, but we live in a fascinating time, which puts me on par with Super League chairman, which we live in an interesting time where streaming is a thing,
Yes.
but we haven't quite worked out as consumers what we're doing with it, because we're used to linear television, as they call it these days. So we
Is
don't...
that analog to digital?
I guess it
Because
is.
our phone system was upgraded this week. And,
Does it work?
well, apparently it works, but I don't know what they did. They came and went, you're now digital. I don't know what that means.
Fibres. We, because they can sell the copper off.
Right.
We are used to press button 1 and BBC One's on, press
Yes.
button 401 and it's some golf. We're not quite used to yet pressing a button and going on the internet and then choosing our game from our menus, but we're going to get used
And
to
then
it. 'Cause
paying for it.
But we're going to get used to
individually.
it because we're going to have to get used to it because that's the way travel is going. Which is interesting because how do broadcasters sell that to
I'm
us?
eating while I'm listening to you.
How do broadcasters sell that to us? Because, we're used to this one thing, but now we don't want all these things. But we're used to paying so much a month to Sky, because we don't pay to Virgin, we pay to Sky. And as if Rugby League wasn't on Sky, would we still pay that? But we still got all the other stuff. We got unlimited movies and the football. I like the cricket. There's the darts. There's everything else. So,
But we do live in a world that is becoming increasingly fractured. So people will pay for, even though you might have got your Sky movies in your package, you might pay for a Netflix
Yes.
or Amazon Prime as a separate package.
Carsten's modern because he streams 95% of my virtual entertainment. I don't know if that's a euphemism.
I don't actually want to know what he streams.
But the amazing thing is, of course, about Super League Plus is whose technology are we using on Super League Plus?
IMG of it all.
Now,
The other interesting thing about Super League Plus, if it is to become a streaming platform, and let's say, hypothetically, Sky give us the same money, but give us one exclusive game a week to have on Super League Plus. So you need to make a decision as a consumer. If that's going to be your team, do you want to have access to both? That one game isn't enough. What is the other content going to be? So even if your production values are paid for by Sky as part of the deal, we'll give you the same 20 million. We'll also give you a game that we're paying all the production values for. We'll play it 2 days later. That's why we'll still pay for it. Great deal, other than the money side of things. How are you going to fill the rest of your platform with content? Because people will not subscribe if they're just getting 80 minutes. And who pays for that?
what does Steve Mascot do? Just put a load of podcasts on.
Well,
We're here.
there are worse things.
We're here. But
We've got cake.
we've got cake. As Phil pointed out earlier in the week, 80% rugby, 20% biscuits. I think that's the wrong percent. I think it's the wrong way around.
No, I think that's the wrong.
But twice now, a Super League chairman has come out with. I was going to swear. That I didn't mean to swear. Crazy figures of how many people would. We don't know how many people would sign up for because again you've got. Well, I've signed up for Netflix. I have Disney Plus. My favourite programs, and I've got to sign up for Disney Plus now. I'm a big fan of the NFL. I'm going to get NFL because get all the games. I know it's on Sky, but I can watch all the games and choose what I want. I've got Watch NRL because I want to watch the. I haven't got all these things. We're going to. So I now need to add another one on because we're not on telly anymore. Now, what the deal you need is you need to be on free-to-air television. Although you need your free-to-air partner to actually give a toss and not just have people sat in Manchester pretending to be a Wigan. But you also need your paid element that gives you lots of money because the terrestrial free-to-air option, that is the temptation for people to go, oh, I like this rugby league, I might see and get a subscription to it.
But it's more people outside of the current market, because what you don't want to do is keep bleaching and leeching off your existing subscribers. You want to get new ones. So I'll throw this in the mix with no thought whatsoever. Instead of developing Super League Plus, what about if we put that one Super League game on NRL.com and they sold the whole package into new audiences? Would that work? Because they get all their NRL 360 shows on it, and Matty John has moved back to Winter, all that kind of stuff. Phil Gould.
NRLW Weekly.
International games dead, not more state of origin. But I do like the international game. Thanks, Phil. James Graham. If you could get, and let's say we did have some more of our content on there, but you had an NRL 360 stroke Super League plus one app, global app, would that generate more interest and value?
Well, possibly. It wouldn't harm things, would it?
I just think, why develop two when you've got one that's a market leader? That one is already having negotiations into the US, Middle Eastern markets, wherever it might be, Namibia. Would that work? Is that what Mr. Volandis and Mr. Abdo might be thinking?
Might save casting somebody if he's got 2 subscriptions there.
Oh, they need content. We have some content. We want to work together on things. We're not quite ready to move to a full model of that, whatever that might look like. Why don't we share our streaming service?
And we've got a mess of a thing at the minute where we've got Sky, we've got the BBC, that's separate, that doesn't matter. We've got Sky, we've got Super League Plus, for the Super League, and then we've got all these other things. Now, the interesting thing is, whenever this chairman comes out and says these things, and he has done twice now, no one ever questions him and says, these figures don't add up, Derek, do they?
Oh, was that his name?
No, these figures don't add up, because they don't add up, because not everyone's going to subscribe. Yeah. Because there's a number of people, maybe even people watching or listening to this podcast, will not even subscribe to Sky, but have a dodgy Fire Stick, and will be on Facebook every week saying, where's the game? Where's it?
Someone who we know awfully well, who may even be at the big game this week, on Thursday night, at the DIY Kitchen Bellevue Stadium, is trying to carve out his career on Substack.
Subscribe to his podcast.
And he's telling everyone on each issue how difficult it is. There is no guarantee that just because you're popular and your material's good and it's regular and you've got a following, that you can make that financially viable over a period of time. And you've got to keep offering free content to try and draw people in. It's a long road. It's not, we've got an app, we'll get 40,000 people paying $10 a week and then that's sorted. Goodbye, Sky. I mean, goodbye, Sky. Really?
Who's going to pay for it?
When we need to be negotiating with Sky, one of the chairmen is saying, no, we don't need you. I'd be going into the negotiations if I'm Sky going, well, we're going to give you 20, but as you don't need us, here's 10.
You do get the idea that they think they can just get an AI version of Mick Morgan to do the commentary on all the games, because that would fit in with their narrative of how to do things. But the problem is, everything outside the men's Super League competition at the moment appears to be fair game. There are some women's Super League games on Sky, but the rest of them don't appear to be under an exclusive deal. Now, remember when Twitch had a deal? People forget this now because it's a couple of years ago. Twitch had a deal to show women's Super League games. And I was told by someone, I don't know. I mean, that still exists, but our deal with Twitch doesn't exist. Now, at the time, I was told by someone that as a club, they couldn't stream their games because of the Twitch deal. Now everyone does whatever they want and it's fine. And same in the Championship, same in League One, same with wheelchairs or whatever. You can do whatever you want. But there needs to be some kind of plan where you can't just turn up a game and stream things, because at the moment you probably could. I mean, I tried, didn't I? But at least I asked permission. But so the Warrington Wigan game was streamed yesterday on YouTube, which I didn't know until afterwards.
All right. Well, free of charge?
Yeah. Leeds Huddersfield was obviously done by the Sportsman. But they've got
free of charge.
They've got a deal because they're the sponsors, so that's okay. But so to a chairman of a club who are in Super League but have a women's team, reserves, scholarship, why aren't you streaming your games? You can stream it on YouTube. We did the show last week from a park.
We did.
From the 5G on my phone.
King Alfred's Field.
Well, that was questioned in the comments as well, apparently.
Why?
Because that's not them. They're somewhere else in Leeds, apparently.
No. I think you'll find that is King Alfred's
Field. It's like arguing whether it's Cumberland or Lancashire.
There may be more than one King Alfred's Field. That is definitely, having been through the Sport England funding application to get a clubhouse built, it's King Alfred's Field.
So you can stream things. I mean, if you're a club, I'd hope you do it properly and not just with sawdust and vinegar. But what if these Super League clubs who think, well, there's a land of milk and honey out there, why aren't they doing it already?
There's got to be multiple camera angles, that's expensive. There's got to be vision mixing, that's expensive. There's got to be commentary. There's got to be context. It's not cheap to produce. I know through what the European Rugby League tried to do with international matches up in Scotland. Were you there?
I wasn't there, but I watched them.
Scotland, yeah.
Or tried to.
It's really hard. It's really hard to get quality production to justify charging for the coverage. So, yeah, not as easy as a chairman might think.
No, but no one says, well, maybe, Derek, you're wrong on this one. Look, I'm not going to tell you how to sell some decks. I don't have a clue what decking is. That's not my business. Vaguely know a bit about broadcasting. Worked in it for 20 years. Now work on the TV side of it in a vague sense, not in the mainstream. It isn't just turning up with a camera and doing things. You have to do things properly. People expect a certain level of professionalism, which is why they watch this
program. It's all free, in which case you're not getting subscriptions. If it's free, it doesn't matter what camera it is.
If Barrow are streaming their games and monetising them, if York are putting them on YouTube,
Bradford are doing theirs.
Witness monetising theirs. I don't follow Bradford, so I don't know. But
it's a tenner, you know.
Yeah.
And they've got the name of the company that streams it. You know, there'll be a cost attached to that. Presumably, you would think somebody who's a shareholder of Bradford, kept them going, getting the game streamed, might know the pitfalls of streaming. Might ring up the chairman who's going public saying this is what we can easily achieve, and go, I have to tell you, it isn't.
Carsten is a good boy, as we expect from a citizen of the Europe. Oh, he's not a citizen of the European Union, he's in Switzerland, they're out of it. Yes, I have both subs, he says. No other way to watch games legally outside the UK. Which, of course, when I was in Spain, I didn't watch any Super League matches. Even though I wrote about it in magazines, so they do watch league matches.
Did you not watch them?
Don't come and get me, Sky Police.
Another issue with him.
Brian Carney might come and beat me up on
Brian Carney of RL26.
Yeah. BBC had a pick this week and didn't have any pre-match build-up or interviews after the game.
That was weird.
We need to get these players in the spotlight, but again, missed opportunity. I don't know why they're doing that.
I don't know if it was a missed opportunity, because what you're getting is terrestrial coverage. And it was a good game, and there was intrigue attached to it. There were plenty of stories surrounding it. I do think, because you don't have an introduction in Vision, and you don't have anything really after it, that the commentators and summarisers need to tell you a bit more about who you're watching. So I think there was an assumption, and it's not a criticism, it's just the way that it's broadcast. There's an assumption that those coming across it but not really knowing the game would have known who Christian Wade was. But we didn't really, we certainly did afterwards, we didn't really get an explanation that he was an England Rugby Union international and he tried his hand at NFL until probably 2/3 into the game. And you just think, because you don't know who's going to be watching and because you haven't had the opportunity to pick much out beforehand and you're not actually at the game, those kind of things, explaining who, Junior December, we know who he is. We know he's the great hope for maybe England beating Australia, but you need to play the Rigobert song card, and do you know what I mean? It's like, if that's the audience you're appealing to on free-to-air television, where there's no football on, they might want a break from the golf because the leaders haven't been out yet, or it's an unfamiliar audience picking up on something that they might go, do you know what, I'm enjoying watching this, but who are these people? Aidan Caesar, do we know enough about him? Was it too late that we were told Jed Cartwright, who had probably his best game of all, is the son of John Carr? Do you know what I mean? It's difficult to commentate and summarise on a game like that, and I thought Ryan Brierley was a good addition. If the audience that you don't know is watching isn't familiar with the product that they're watching.
If
that makes sense.
There's nothing wrong with off-tube commentary, by the way, because it makes a lot of sense in terms of saving money and the planet.
And a lot more people do. I mean, there are. Let's
off-tube commentary, by the way, for those who don't know, because I shouldn't just say things like, because I was just saying the people don't know who these people are. It's where you commentate in a studio, and you're not on the ground, but you're watching the same pictures.
And we shouldn't shed light on magic.
However,
there are some people who report on games Even
though it says in the paper they are. Now that's lying, isn't it? That's deceit.
And that might be the paper, but I'm just saying, it's post-COVID, there are ways of getting information out to people that don't necessarily mean that people have to be in the ground. What I would say is you get a more rounded picture if you're in the ground. There are certain things that you don't see if you're just relying on whatever camera the director is asking you to go to, and that extraneous stuff, particularly if you're on the radio and you're trying to paint pictures with words, is really important. I'm not really sure you can do brilliant radio commentary off tube because you are reliant on director that you have no control over. I think broadcasting wise you can, and you can to a certain extent in the written media. I think it's very hard to mark players if you're not, I would say. You have to be there.
I'm trying to remember which issue last year I wrote about this and said, because it's the same issues from last year, so it's not any, and nothing's changed. Scottish Lower League football on BBC Alba was covered with a team at the ground, like an actual presenter and pundits. Welsh Rugby Union is treated as if it's a massive sport, which
not
is
for much longer.
I mean, they had the hurling final yesterday on BBC Two in Northern Ireland, didn't they? Which was given the full.
Was that the one that we watched last year? And
possibly.
Were fascinating.
Yeah. And now I want to know about wheelchair hurling, and obviously that's a final. It's a big event in Ireland.
Yeah.
But then you've got a whole different political issue there because it might be two teams from the Republic of Ireland playing, but we don't want to get into that. But Scottish Lower League football, Welsh Rugby Union treated on a higher stage than Super League games are occasionally. Sometimes, but there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes Tanya will be there, sometimes it'll be JJ in the studio.
So I think the more important thing is that on a Saturday afternoon on BBC Two, in the middle of the Super League season, with less competition for a sporting audience, there was a great rugby league game. That probably, but maybe Lee's performance at St Helens slightly shaded it. I'd say Hull at Wigan was the best game of the round.
It's always bloody athletics on, isn't there, as well? It's always athletics. There's always some athletics. Here's some more athletics. They love athletics. At least it was proper athletics in a stadium rather than people running around city centres or whatever. Tour de France, that's going to pay TV from next year.
Yeah.
We don't want to become Speedway. Keep saying, I've said it for.
You've just got to be clever how you deal with it. You've got to acknowledge that the market's changed. I mean, I do think, again, going back to what the NRL are trying to do in this $3 billion deal that they're looking for, they are going to take State of Origin out and sell it as a separate product. Well, looking at the viewing figures it gets, they could make a lot of money on that. I think that, even Amazon Prime and or Netflix would be thinking, if we can get State of Origin, it's a big deal. That's a big event that we could sell globally. So I can see what they're trying to do. I also do think, and I don't know if it was in the Sydney Morning Herald, because it's behind a paywall, and you could have 150 subscriptions if you wanted.
We've got to pay to Patreon for the Rugby League hub thing.
Keeping them in the manner in which they need to be accustomed. I do think that they are looking at the World Cup in 2026 as a saleable property. So I think they're going to American broadcasters and saying World Cup, and the broadcasters are not coming back going, well, who's in it? How many teams? Is it different to last time? And they go, we've got Australia, they're good, world number one. New Zealand, they're good. World number 2 at the moment. We've got England. World number 3. Could be number 2 after the...
after we win 3-0, because Jack Welsby said,
But we've also got Pacific nations. You've got a lot of Pacific Islanders in America, and Samoa made a World Cup final. Tonga won a Pacific Championship. It's like we could have 7 or 8 nations who could genuinely think that they could win this thing. Would you like to give us $100 million? And they might go, well, it's only 10 teams. It's not on for that long. Well, we could also throw in a women's and maybe some wheelchairs. Oh, okay.
Just wait till we watch the wheelchair.
Clever.
I mean, obviously by far the funniest piece of news we can bring you this week is the viewing figures in Australia for the Lions are playing. Apparently, I don't know who they are. These bunch of English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, Canadians, Australians,
South
New Zealanders, South Africans. They're playing against Australia. You know, they've got that Joseph Somali used to play for the. Did he play for the Roosters?
Ah, yeah.
Outdrawn by women's origin.
I don't care.
But it's funny.
I think
but it shows the value of the women's origin and the NRLW.
They have product.
Oh, yes.
And I think in terms, again, of the women's game, particularly the NRL, there is no physical contact sport for women that rivals that. And if you were to line up the competitions of which is the summit of women's contact sport, it's the NRLW. If Ilona Maher's saying, I'd one day love to be able to be playing in the NRLW, people in America will look at that and go, I'd be interested in that.
If she signed for St Helens in Women's Super League, they'd make her look proper in the game. They won't put like Emily Rudge with a hat on. I do wonder, just on as a offshoot, because it's just come to mind, I do wonder if any of the players here, because I know it will have been in Australia, have been compensated for their names and likenesses.
What, image rights?
Because in Australia they've got a strong union and things, and here we've got...
I suppose it depends what's in their contract.
Good to see, says RJ World Sports News, unless is there anything else we're going to say about TV?
I wasn't intending to chat about it.
No, we just did.
Interesting.
The Wembley Ashes Test ticket sales are steadily going well. They had the promo in London, but surely they should have had a big screen showing highlights and promoted with point of sale ticket machines. I don't know how much all that costs, but
I think we are limited in our advertising and marketing budget. But I just thought as a one-off event,
go on TalkSport, go on the news and stuff.
It's good. It's
a busy market, London,
but it's also better than we've seen before. 100 days out, so you know, play to what we are and not what the NFL would be if they were promoting.
Did enjoy Martin Afire tweeting a picture of him with Sir Cliff Richard promoting the rugby league at Wembley in a pastime
on a red bus.
Yeah, he just stepping out of the no. Okay. On the aforementioned Scotland team, says Gavin McCluskey. I'm going to assume Gavin's Scottish. That's a big assumption from me, and I apologise for that. Yeah. On the aforementioned Scottish team, are there any Scots in the team? And I don't mean a token one or two, because I know it wouldn't be alone in not supporting it. It's just rebadged England players.
I think what you've got to take into account... They are
starting from...
There isn't a women's domestic competition in Scotland. So I think to be competitive against nations like Wales who've just qualified for the World Cup, they're going to start with heritage-based players. But I don't think they're any less committed to wearing the shirt and the badge and promoting the game. You know, we can't say... We just said in the Men's World Cup that the Pacific nations have a chance. Well, they have a chance because of heritage players. But on the back of that, a load of kids in the Pacific nations have made rugby league their number one choice. You know, you've got to see it to be it, I believe is the phrase. So the fact that there is a Scotland women's team with some recognisable players in it, I'm not sure that's a bad thing.
It is, and it is extremely low level, in terms of people knowing about it. It's not. No one's jumping up and going, oh, it's not being played at Murrayfield.
I do think
it's small, tiny.
You'll be able to see the games.
Well, that's good.
I can say no more at the moment, but I think you'll be able to see the games on a channel you recognise. Not streamed. On a channel.
Oh well, I can probably guess, but I'm not going to because I don't want.
Which is great because you know if young Scottish women are seeing a Scotland national team play for the first time and they want to know how they can get involved, and there's enough of them in Scotland, or there's enough men's teams playing in Scotland to start a women's team. We've got, was it two in Glasgow and one in Edinburgh. We've got a wheelchair team now in Edinburgh. You've got to start somewhere.
Well, that's the example I was going to use, because we look in the wheelchair game, we look at Scotland, we look at Ireland, who've now got players playing in the Super League competition.
There's a domestic competition in Ireland because Ireland had a national team.
And Scotland, obviously, with Edinburgh. They all sounded Scottish to me, and they had a bagpipe.
They've all got names like Callum, Mona.
So, yeah, I completely understand where Gavin's coming from. Completely understand.
But I also think that if you are Scottish and they want to play in your shirt, there's a certain buy-in there to at least give them the opportunity to show that it means something. If they do it right, I know the women's coach of Scotland is passionate about getting this thing off the ground. It won't be easy. They're playing a far more established Welsh team, a Welsh team who is playing England the following week, so they can't do anything other than take this game seriously. It will be a great test for the Scots, but you start so the next time World Cup qualifying comes around for women, Scotland may be part of it.
And Scotland then played Jamaica in November in Featherstone, which again it's a bad timing thing, but
and they play the England Community Lions.
We're a little sport, but hopefully, this is why we need the help from
the aforementioned potential coverage of this game is because it is Wales against Scotland. Nobody at the broadcaster is saying, is it a real Scotland? Is it a proper Wales? It's like it's played in Neath. It's Welsh.
Sunshine on Neath.
It's playing a team who will be playing in blue called Scotland.
I think Flower Scotland.
That's all you need to know. There'll probably be a bagpiper leading them out. Not wishing to go down the road of stereotypes, but that's what they did in when you went up to Edinburgh to watch the wheelchair.
Welsh cakes in the media.
It's great.
There's no other news, I don't think, so we'll talk about it.
Is there news?
I don't think so.
There's no
wait for the size one from the Queensland Cup.
Joel Tompkins, we think, is going to be announced as the...
Intriguing.
Which, again, if the reports, and we've no reason to doubt them, are true, Michael McAlorum, when he hangs up his boots at Hull KR, will be going back to the house that he's clearly got in the Perpignan area to be an assistant coach, alongside Mitchell Pearce, who's come back. Joel Tompkins, I must say, after I watched the game on Saturday evening against Hull KR, did say that their priority now was to look at the team that are going to be playing in 2026 and beyond, and not necessarily the guys that are there now that haven't done it. So I think we will see some young French players being given an opportunity, and as long as there is that commitment, fair enough. I think that's a surprise. I think there were a lot of people looking at a bigger name coming in from perhaps the NRL.
It strikes almost as a when the RFL look for a new chief executive, they go, we've done a worldwide search with a point,
and we found a bloke in the next office.
It's a bit like that. It's a strange one because with all the names that were linked, and of course, like last week when we said here's 5 people who might be the next Casper coach, it's the same thing, isn't it?
I do think that Joel Tompkins has spoken very well over the period where he has been in interim charge. Now, whether he is he clearly understands the club, hopefully the culture. I think that's really important. McAlorum understands the culture, as he was an influential player there. He was important for getting them to 2 grand finals. Mitchell Pearce clearly liked the area enough that he's come back and wants to make a contribution, passionately cares. So you would hope, wouldn't you, that...
the one name who hasn't been mentioned in this new Brains Trust is
Sam.
Joel's brother, I know he's got some... Didn't he have some... He'll have to have some youth role or something?
Yeah, I think...
to remember from the documentary.
He will be involved and he will be part of that support group, and it may well be that his role is slightly different and it could involve part commercial. I think he'll still want to do his Sky stuff, so that might be why... But he may...
your job.
But he may be, that pathways coach that identifies young French talent and puts them into the Saint-Estève Catalan team and monitors them and works with Asperdo Bichet if he's going to be taking his shirt. I think there's a role for Sam.
I would like to say for anyone watching on YouTube, I don't know how these people become top fans on this list. Carson's apparently our number 1 fan and Philly's our number 2 fan. But I don't know how that works. And I think I'm supposed to say on behalf of YouTube, please give us money by joining our membership. Don't bother, just buy the magazine.
We've never been here.
just watch the adverts. Click on the adverts.
If you want to go to M&S and get a cake as good as this, that's fine.
Yeah.
It was fun. Honey and blackcurrant.
It is nice. I'm looking forward to the end of the programme.
I'm not.
Yeah, but I've got to host this thing.
I'm sorry to Mr. Charles, but I'm now eating his pig.
Phil says, a crazy appointment. They have coached 7 games between them. Must have a lot of... I'm reading that from Karsten. you can get involved in the YouTube chat. And if you're joining us, if you listen to the podcast in the week, you can send us tweets and blue skies and
we have no answers.
No, leave us comments on YouTube. Oh, I do read them. I do forget to put hearts next to them, unless you're offensive. I found a comment on Facebook that I probably should have deleted months ago, but I can't mention it on air now. It wasn't offensive, but it was just I thought, no, it's Facebook. Don't be putting that.
I don't go on Facebook for that very reason.
And I will forget. So, Carl says you get. It's the amount of stupid comments we give. Apparently, gives you places on this league table. I've seen it appear on the YouTube studio, but I've got no idea what it is. I think it's I'm one of the top fans of Heat Mallorca, which is good seeing as I work for the radio station. But that's on Facebook. I do like the Heat Mallorca page though. Rugby League happened this week, it started on Thursday. Thursday night rugby was back with Old Conquering St Helens fresh in their great victory over Leeds, losing to Lee, who are back. And they're dark horses for the Super League title.
Lee, who have now beaten Wigan, OKR, St Helens, some of their biggest rivals, to put themselves in a position, on the back of Wigan's result, to finish in the top two.
They're third in the table.
They're only a point behind Wigan.
One above Leeds and 3 above St Helens.
It was a fantastic performance.
They're just a good team, aren't they, Lee? This is...
There's something about Lee that clubs like Warrington don't have, and that is a way of playing and an identity, which is a word that we throw about quite a lot, where everybody knows who they are, what they need to do, how they need to go about it, what's expected of them. And I do think that the recruitment of people like Offa Hengawa during the season has been a real boost to them. I think the way Owen Trout is playing at the moment and everything he's saying about why he's playing the way he is sums up everything that's right at Lee.
And that's why he's in the England training squad.
I think Lachlan Lamb isn't getting the credit he deserves. I think that I understand why Mikey Lewis is the picture boy of the sport. I understand why Jake Connor is, at the moment, as far as we know, leading the Man of Steel points. But Lachlan Lamb, for me, is probably the most important player for his team in Super League.
He's not as exciting as Edwin Apape, and he gets a lot of credit, you see. So his runs from dummy half and his tackling and everything hides it gives a little bit of...
but I just think we need to pay credit to Adrian Lamb. I don't think the way he coaches is orthodox in the way that perhaps Matty P is or Brad Arthur is. You know, that I don't think, from what you glean into what Adrian Lamb says, he has his team training relentlessly and worried too much about game plans. I think he's got some real basic principles that you don't pay for his team unless they're absolutely 100% instilled into you. But the expectation of, I might not train you as much, I'll train you as hard, but not as often as other teams. You need to repay me with effort in games. And it's just working really well at the moment.
Do you think that's a reflection of how he was as a player?
I'm not sure. I think it's him as a character. He was a terrific player. People forget how good a player he was. But I do think he's an even better coach. And he did it at Wigan.
Well, that's forgotten about now, isn't it? Because he won the League Leaders' Shield in the odd season, which was weird all over. But that's the League Leaders' Shield where
and he took
week on week you
final.
didn't know which opponent you were going to be playing necessarily.
Or where.
And nearly won a grand final in the most ridiculous grand final finish there'll ever be.
Which gets forgotten. And I think that it would have been very easy for him to walk away from that disenchanted with the sport. He goes to the club that is the nearest to the one, which is great because he probably didn't have to move house. But he's rebuilt the reputation of that club. You wouldn't rule them out of actually not just getting to, but if everybody's fit, causing an upset on the day. I don't know what it is about them, because I don't think it's definable, but there's something. And you thought when David Armstrong got injured, he's going to be out for a year. Oh, you know, that's it. That's your big import. That's your major sign. That's your point of difference. He's come over. He's clearly quick and he's exciting and he can do stuff that, you know, other teams haven't got in their armoury. And then they bring in Baby Hodgson, and he's different but as good. And, you know, the whole Josh Charnley thing, Lamb's trying to play it down, and I don't know if he'll be here next year, but that's because he's bought Keenan Brandon, who's been brilliant.
And he wasn't playing for us until the injuries came around. He wasn't in the team.
Myla Hanley, potentially the most improved player in Super League.
And he has to do that with the pressure of the name, which doesn't get spoken about as much now, obviously, as well. But
ditched by Wigan, who said, we don't think you're going to make it, you may not be good enough. Lamb has got out of him what the potential that was, getting potential out of players, that's the sign of a great coach. And you do look at guys that I think the telling thing is guys who come in and fill in are not lesser than the guys they replace. So Matt Davis at the moment is a classic example. Everybody knows Edwin Apape, number one hooker at Leigh, totally destructive, on his game, can be unplayable. Matt Davis comes in and it's a different sort of hooker, and they can play the two of them together. They can leave Apape on and Davis can go to loose forward. He's a different player, but he's no less effective. That's down to the coach. And I just think at the moment Leigh are just so enjoyable to watch.
There are two types of players who leave big clubs as youngsters, and they go to a Leigh, or I will say Wakefield because it's the example I know of most, and they either have a rocket up their backside to prove people wrong, or they completely fizzle out. And Hanley's obviously one of those players with the rocket up his backside. I don't know if he's trying to prove people wrong or not, but he's playing to the best of his ability, and that's showing for him and for Leigh. And that's the kind of player you want to sign.
I also think it doesn't quite derail St Helens. I think the more you watch games at this stage of the season, when fatigue is a huge factor, injuries are a huge factor. Saints barely used their bench was used to rotate their big forwards. And again, you know whether the young guy that Cowan that you're giving a debut to is ready to have that debut or not, and how many minutes you want him to play, and the environment you're throwing him into, whether he can, whether it's quite his time at the moment. And you look at where the respective squads are with the games that they've got left, and the fatigue that is obviously in every squad, because this is a ridiculously relentless competition, especially when he's throwing the Challenge Cup as well. I'm not sure Saints have the armoury to win it. I think they'll certainly be in the playoffs. They may be in the top four, but I look at Leigh and I think they could win it. That's the difference after this week.
Kevin says Leigh and KR always seem to recruit well. Certainly working for them at the minute. Phil says, I'll say it again, it's like watching Canterbury. Line speed, scramble defence, strong first contact, etc. Robert says, why is Edwin Apape not the man of steel? Best player by country mile, excitement, box office, never seen a match live, but would be tempted to go to watch him. And that's exactly what you want from people, isn't it?
That is what
you want. Long may he stay in the competition before he ends up at PNG, whatever they're called.
Well, if I'm PNG,
him, the coach.
And that is where we are in the pecking order. But while they're there, it may well be that those three are motivated by the fact that they want to leave Leigh, potentially in a grand final, maybe even winning a competition, and they may know they have a finite lifespan there, but they clearly enjoy it, they clearly want to do well, and it's working for them. And they're becoming a lot of people's second favourite team.
You would imagine it's more likely that they are to win their first championship since 1981 than a certain other team is since 1955.
Who are not going to make the playoffs on what I saw yesterday.
As I had to point out on Twitter, yes, they haven't won away at St Helens since 1982, but they've only played each other 12 times since away from home.
It's a record that's there to be broken. It's a measure of where they are.
Yeah. Is there anything else to say about that other than again? You can't read so much into two games for Saints. I think that's why I went on to the press call with Paul Wells and asked him about how they dealt with the heat since last Friday.
Saints are a better team than they were last year. And they've got some kids coming through that will stand them in great stead for the years going forward. Their progress is incremental, as it is with every team. And they'll be fine, but they ain't going to win every week.
Oh, someone sent us some money. We said don't send us money.
No, please don't.
Kevin, get yourself a coffee, lads. Much appreciated.
You're very kind.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that for people to send us back.
We really appreciate it, but we're not here for more. We're here because
it'll just get wasted on this LED board.
A, we love it, and B, we can't believe people want it.
We've got nothing else better to do on a Monday. Did Phil just write off the Saints? Did you write off the Saints?
I don't think they can win. I don't think they can win Super League this year.
So now, right, if you're at St Helens, clip that bit of the programme and then play it over and over again, and then when they win the grand final, they say, oh, look what happened.
Well, I suspect their media manager might want to clip that. I mean...
if that's the motivation for them to win the grand final,
if you need us to say, we don't think you're going to win the grand final this year.
Bookmakers make big call on who's going to win grand final. No, I've just got some odds out. Just the odds.
We had the odds in one of the magazines. Saints were not in the top 4.
Wait for the never there, and every year we go, oh, and then we go. On Friday in the Championship, Bradford beat Oldham 28-12.
Yeah, good one for Bradford.
In the Super League, Huddersfield 10, Wakefield 46, bouncing back from being rubbish at Hull last week. Smashing Huddersfield.
First half, 30 points to 4. There's two things here. One is we know Wakefield are a good team. We know that incrementally, again, Wakefield are promoted from the Championship. They're going to be there or thereabouts in the fight for the top 6. Whatever happens from here, that's a fantastic season. We already know that some of the signings they've made for next year are improvements on what they've already got.
And some people from the Queensland Cup.
What they've already got is great, but, you signed Jazz Tavanger, you signed Tyson Smoothie, who are both playing regular NRL at the moment. You ain't getting any worse.
Great names as well.
You're getting better. Josh Griffin, fantastic servant. We'll be moving on because there's going to be Jazz Tavanger there. Who is a younger, fitter, faster.
This goes back to Adrian Lamb, and when he wasn't picking Josh Charlie, obviously thought he had better players, and Josh Charlie's getting older. St Helens didn't sign Tommy Makers. I don't know if they made him an offer or not, but
they haven't bought Conrad Hurrell back into the first team because people like Owen Dagnall and Harry Robertson are deserving of their place.
So while Josh Griffin is playing well at the moment,
and he's been a great.
No one's saying he's but it's when you move players on.
I think he's heard York might be in Super League.
Right, is that where he's going as well? Everyone's going to York. We're not doing York. Yes, Wakefield won.
Well, I didn't. I was at the other game. I don't know if you watched Wakefield.
I saw the highlights afterwards because I was out.
My question from that would be not how good were Wakefield in the first half, and Darryl again was effusive of how good they were in that first half. How poor were Huddersfield?
The footwork on the second Myers try, who was a young lad who is a centre. That was professional rugby league player shouldn't be getting done by that footwork player. Was it his second game or something?
Yeah.
It was a beautiful try. If you haven't seen it.
But what is the issue at Huddersfield? Because we thought Huddersfield were not necessarily back, but were improving, and I think it got
somebody at the door. Oh, it's the newspaper.
Do we need it?
Well, it says me looking at the internet.
Hold on
for this thought on. What we're going to spend our $5 on? Just League Express. Kevin, we bought League Express. We'll buy it next week as well.
Only for the results. Anyway,
thank you.
Prepare it for me.
Oh.
So what was the issue with Huddersfield? I can't comment because I didn't see it. I saw Luke Robinson say that's the worst performance that I've been involved with.
No.
Because they seem to be improving.
Did they just hit on a Wakefield Tide who were smarting from the week before? They have been good all season.
But they had a stronger squad to choose from, Huddersfield.
They scored early.
I'd say I've seen the tries, which obviously very little of Huddersfield didn't try. I genuinely don't know.
And now there's a gap between themselves and Castlewood, as we'll discuss later.
Yes.
Leeds beat Salford 42-6.
Yeah.
Was that as exactly as you thought it would go?
I thought Salford were great in the first half. And I have nothing but admiration, as we've said all year, for the ability of Paul Rowley to get players who he probably doesn't even know who's going to be available from one week to the next to perform as cohesively as they do. And in the first half, they were great. In Declan Murphy, they've uncovered a bit of a gem.
He's the lad from Rabunic.
Yeah, apparently born here, went to New Zealand when he was very young, came back, enrolled on the Saracens Academy. I think he played a bit of sevens, went to Wigan on trial for a month, but Wigan said, we're not really looking for backs. Salford took him, made his debut, I think off the bench the week before, and started at full-back. Was absolutely outstanding. Had a try ruled out late on in the first half that looked harsh. An obstruction call again. You know, when you're at the ground, you don't get all the access to all the replays and what the fourth official is saying. But he was fantastic. Second half, because of this speed and intensity that Leeds played at and the bench that they had, Salford couldn't stick with them, and it became the result that you thought it would be.
So a great pair of games on Friday night, which went exactly the way you'd expected it to. Probably not in the way of the gap between Wakefield and Huddersfield, especially playing away from home, but 5,000 attendance at Huddersfield. Again, when they move to Halifax, whenever that happens, I don't know what happens there. I genuinely don't know.
Looks better.
11,000 at Leeds, 11,000 at Saints. I wonder how many people might have been put off buying tickets in the build-up to the Leeds game with the fact that the narrative was, well, I might be on strike.
No, I think the other issue was that was the first day of the school holidays. Yeah.
Which they did try to sell, didn't they?
A lot of people do go away when the schools break up.
Wheelchair Super League this week.
Yes.
Wigan.
You read the scores. Another mouthful of
Wigan beat Hull 54-4. Leeds won 98-24 at Sheffield, and London beat Edinburgh 66-22. What a long trip that will have been for the
the Capitals.
And an all women's game between Sheffield and Leeds before as well.
Which Sheffield won.
Jack Hager was back in the in the Wigan team, because he wasn't there the week before when Wigan played Leeds, I noticed. Mel Griffith, mentioning Irish people, scored as well. So that's good. Women's Super League. Well, it was a bit of a shambles this week in terms of scorelines, but all expected. Saints 80, Lee 0, hat-trick for Danny McGifford. She kind of looks like herself on the game.
For the interview.
Yeah.
Is that Wales' Danny McGifford?
Yeah. So that's good.
Wales Heritage Club.
Yeah. Warrington 0, Wigan 80. The Power Sisters both scored tries. Angela will be proud. Kerris Jones with a hat-trick as well.
But nothing, again, that we didn't expect.
You know, I didn't expect York to win by as many against Barrow, because York have not been recently, but 58-0. I mean, the story there is a hat-trick for the Ugandan, whose name I'm going to butcher, Peace Lakuru.
Lakuru, yeah.
I mean, that's a story.
That's
a story we should be talking about. It's in the Forty20. But now more people should be talking about, because she's got a hat-trick.
Yeah.
Because I
clearly,
we didn't know how good she's going to be. She's coming from Uganda. We don't know what the standard of rugby league is in Uganda. Yes, it is. Peace Lakuru with a hat-trick for York.
But I think the other thing is, it's not just about Peace coming over and may or may not make it with York. Hopefully she will. It's that other clubs now need to go, is there untapped talent in Africa that we need to be looking? Both male and female.
Yeah. York 58, Barrow 0. But also a game where the team who lost did score points, and that was Leeds and Huddersfield. Leeds 54, Huddersfield 12. Leeds as props, by the way, on the game. They're very good at scoring tries.
Well, Lizzie Northrop scored in that.
There you go, you see. Thought that might be a bit closer as well. But, I mean, the big story from there is, of course, Huddersfield Academy beat Leeds.
Yes, first time Leeds Academy have lost this year. So Huddersfield are clearly going about building their women's team. I know we make comparisons and we're not here just to bag a team, but what Huddersfield have done with their women's team is exactly what Warrington should be doing, and clearly aren't. Because if their under-19s are starting to win games, talent is coming through. If their first team is 5th, you know, they are the best outside of the top 4. Well, at the moment, that's about as high as you can get.
So we'll see what happens in the rest of the season. Wheelchair Super League season's nearly finished now.
It's halfway through.
I don't know what's going on with the rest of the season. But they exist. What about Wire Women, says Kevin? Well, Again, as I keep saying with this program, it's not about the players, it's not about the coaches, it's about those above and not funding it properly.
We just said, didn't we, that the difference is Huddersfield were, who weren't in a dissimilar position and have gone about generating under-19s and improved their first team. They've made some signings from other clubs.
You need to sign some Ugandans, that's what you do, isn't it?
Well, there was a York player that signed for Huddersfield this week.
I know Warrington are trying to actively improve their squad by signing players who may have been released from other clubs, but obviously haven't signed them yet. But you haven't seen the video of us watching the rugby league game yet. But do go and watch. Go on the rugby league. If you've got the rugby league game, go and look at how some of the women's players look nothing like in the simplest of terms, like they are in real life.
There are some missing features.
Yes. And that's not even me being rude for once. So we talked about the Friday games. Saturday, Wigan. Robert says, what do you think about Wigan? They don't smile. They're not smiling. The coach isn't smiling, the players aren't smiling, and they certainly weren't smiling after losing a Wigan in crisis. 32-12 to Hull. What a performance from Hull. 20-0 up at half time.
Yeah.
You look at the score, you think, right, they've gone 4-0 up. Right, fair enough. Wigan are going to come. No, they didn't come.
Let's split the two.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that the way Hull played was almost the perfect game plan for that game. So they knew they'd won there in the Challenge Cup. And I think that preyed a little bit on Wigan's mind, but they also knew that there was a very inexperienced winger playing for Wigan, and Hull's kicking game was magnificent. Because it's all very well trying to exploit him, the ability to do it.
Yeah.
And they exploited him in two ways. One with the sensational kicking of Aidan Caesar, and two, whoever decided that Jed Cartwright would be first up there to put pressure on him. Because he made his afternoon an absolute nightmare. And the game plan that John Cartwright comes up with, more often than not, is spot on. And so I think we will talk about Wigan and what might be wrong with them, but I don't want in any way that to detract from what was a fantastic Hull performance. I think Wigan's issue is twofold, because we were talking about this at Castleford yesterday, because what's going on at Wigan? One is, I think it's really, really hard to motivate yourself when you won everything. And I think going out of the cup early on was a real shock to Wigan. And like, we got 4 trophies last year. The euphoria, the effort, the sacrifice that went into that. That's amazing. How do we do it again next year? Well, the first thing is you can't do it again next year because there won't be a World Club Championship. Right, okay. The next thing is the first trophy that you're putting up for grabs, you're at home to Hull, you're ahead by a significant amount, you lose. You sit in the dressing room, you go, how do we get up for the rest of the season? It looks to me like there is a collective, we don't know how to get back up to the levels we were at last year, which is entirely understandable. The other thing is, I'm looking at some of those Wigan players at the moment individually and thinking then their contribution is somewhat diminished, so that they're big players, but I'm not seeing Harry Smith at his best. Junior December at the moment is not as intimidating as he has been in the season. Tyler Dupree is odd, because Tyler Dupree seemed to want to spend more time on Saturday arguing with Zach Hardacre in a battle he was losing both verbally and in terms of what he was doing on the field. And Brad O'Neill is coming back after a long injury, but he's not yet at the level he was at. And I just think that they don't look as though it's a cohesive... Adam Kieran's looking fantastic. But once Christian Wade starts dropping balls, I'm thinking there's going to be 6 Wigan men around him protecting him, even if necessary running Jed Cartwright off the ball and giving away a penalty if they have to. I saw, for example, Tyler Dupree more interested in what's happened 2 plays before than getting back and covering his winger. And I just think that individually their top players are not playing as well as they can at the moment, and collectively they don't seem to be able to get themselves back up. All of that said, they can still win the grand final because Bevan French will be back.
Because they're a one-man team, aren't they?
No, but the players that are the real game turners will be back for the big games. So they're not. I don't think they're going to win the League Leaders' Shield after this weekend. I don't think they can beat Hull KR and win another game and hope Hull KR lose another couple of games. I don't see that happening now after this weekend. So that'll be another trophy that Wigan won't be retaining. It's, do they have enough left in their locker collectively to make a push for the grand final? And I think they do, but they're not playing that way at the moment. If that any of that makes sense.
If you're losing a battle of wits with Zach Hardiker, they can all work out what.
I just think you that's not what you're losing. You don't need to be doing that. And Hardaker played it perfectly, because not only was he influential in the game, but he made sure that certainly Dupree in that particular battle, which became as fascinating as the game itself watching that, he was winning that as well.
But well done, Hull.
Hull,
and they are they're in the top 6 at the minute.
Cade Custer-Hooker was fantastic. Amir Burra has been a revelation, and you think, he's not playing it, Mike. But Cust, what I know he was playing again against one of the clubs that let him go. Might have been that added, I want to show you what you're missing. He was great, but Harvey Barron was fantastic. But I like we said about Adrian Lamb and what he can get out of his team. I just think John Cartwright has had such a material impact on the way that Hull are playing at the moment that he deserves enormous credit for that.
Good old Aidan season. He's winning the Albert Goldthorpe medal at the minute. So,
what greater accolade can there be?
I don't think you can win that in the Rugby League games. That's a bit. They've missed out there. There isn't a virtual Rugby League Express in there. Anyway, well done to Hull. And they've got Huddersfield on Saturday because it's the split round.
It is.
Gary asked us, why is there a split round? Because there is. That's the only answer now. Because
I think the idea was to have a camp for England on the Sean Way.
We could have had a Roses match because that's what he wanted when we spoke to him after the third Test match. When I say we, I mean...
Well, I think he was due a camp where people would actually walk about rather than sit on a chair. Yeah. But hey-ho, it didn't happen.
Could have played Give Us a Clue. And
carpet bowls.
Yeah, like see if they could match the wizardry of Lionel Blair when he pulled off 12 Angry Men. One for a listeners
off topic, but similar.
I'm sorry, I haven't a clue there.
Go through the channels that are playing old programmes that you've forgotten about, but normally come up with a warning sign.
I think I know what you're going to say, but
no. Joker's one.
That's on you. That's
what you know?
Barry Cry having a cig on set.
Well, they all have it. But like
that. Yes, that's.
I lasted 10 minutes. I used to love that programme. It lasted 10 minutes
because of the. Is it just things should be left in the past, though?
Yeah. Humour's changed.
Yeah.
Some would say potentially for the better.
Christian Wade. What's going to happen to him? He's got a good try. I didn't enjoy the people pointing him to which way to go as if he was an 8-year-old playing the mini league at half.
What I'm not sure is whether he is ready to be playing Super League at the moment. That's a decision that Wigan made. I thought in some respects Matty Pete threw him under the bus a little bit when before he was asked about it. He said Christian Wade's apologised to me. Like, you picked him though.
It's not his fault. At least he wasn't at Wembley in the cup final and they scored 50 against him.
He's got potential. He's
got potential, but how old is he? 35?
Yeah.
So Charlie's got potential as well.
Well, Declan Murphy, I think, has more potential.
Just going back to Charlie, what a bizarre old thing that was. So he's on the bench, which is pre-recorded a few days before.
Not on the bench.
Not on the bench. He's on the podcast with Jenna and John. John saying something to get all the Rugby League scribes excited. Like,
yes.
Like he said about Sam Lasoni about him Friday.
Did he?
Yeah.
About his tackling style.
Carries off to hold him.
Well, I think the disciplinary's come out and nothing's been mentioned. Well, disciplinary has come.
He's on the bench. I don't know if he's on the bench this week. but he was on the bench last week. So Monday's a podcast. It's a big day for him. So he says, "Oh, I want to play for Wigan." Paraphrase.
I want to end my career at Wigan without, I think, talking to Wigan first.
Who it might have been useful to do so. But then,
who Wigan then distanced themselves.
When I said, no, thanks, Josh.
But not something we've considered.
So then he has to go crawling back and say, well, actually, I'd quite like to stay at Leeds, if I'm being honest. Derek's going to get him doing the decking. That's what he's going to do. He's going to be seen out his contract doing the decking. Because we know what happens to people. Upset the great leader.
You don't think the great leader's a big fan of his?
Take him on safari. Come on safari, Josh.
Be the DJ.
Yeah. They're selling some hats, though, with 250 on. So. Liam Fowles played 400 games, and they got Rio Ferdinand to do a video about him. I don't know why.
Without his top on, which seemed a tad disrespectful. What he said was fantastic. But
Mario told you, don't know who he is. We do like to count out a little bit. Not Rio Ferdinand.
I mean, that's great to get Rio Ferdinand to send a real testimonial for Liam Farrell. Rio Ferdinand, the Wigan fan.
Yeah. Like when Rooney the league finals.
But put your top.
I've seen Warrington haven't done anything with Luke Littler for a while. We'll come to Warrington in a minute. Catalan 6, Hull KR 34. Again, games which went as you... well done on Joe Tompkins' audition as Catalan Dragons coach. Hull KR bouncing.
Hull KR back to what they have done best this year, and that is stifling defence. And on the back of that, they forced Catalan to make at least 2, possibly 3 errors with ball in hand where it's picked up by the opposite. I mean, Michael Lewis's try where he hacks it on a couple of times and then picks it up. That again is gold dust for the the social media market. But I'm not sure what Catalan are offering at the moment, and I think their press conference, which will focus on next year and looking ahead, is probably more important. I don't know why Warrington signed to Vita Transaction.
And speaking of Warrington, Kevin, time to close your ears because it's...
Well, let Kevin tell us.
Yeah. Castleford 20, Warrington 14. A hilarious result. If you know. So, didn't they play a few years ago in the rain at the jungle and it was flooded over?
Wasn't that the one where the tries were scored into the swimming pool?
Yeah. Because it did look for a bit, watching the Leeds Huddersfield women's game yesterday, the try area, goal area, in-goal area next to the Western Terrace was very much water splash-esque. Which looks great when they dive in and it looks great for the photographers.
Not so great when it's coming through the roof.
No. Or the Mendenhall Super Jump.
Or the players when they're running out to warm up are taking flippers.
Well, I blame Ofwat, and that's what the government have done as well. Castleford 20, Warrington 14. Well, apparently, though, Warrington should have won this, and it's all the referee's fault. I don't know who the referee was, but it was the referee's fault for applying the laws of the game.
Nothing ever turns on one incident, but I would say Conor Wrench not passing inside to Mark Sneed was probably more important from a Warrington point of view, and butchering a try that became a 12-point turn.
But that wasn't the fault of whoever was wearing the unseen shirt.
No. The first 10 minutes, Warrington were exemplary. Defence was moving up quickly. Mark Sneed was kicking beautifully in the conditions. He knows the ground, he knows the dimensions of the ground. He kicked a wonderful 40-20. They scored off the back of that. And you just thought, if they can keep this going, and they don't need to be flash, they just need to build on the back of what they're doing, they'll be fine. And that was as good as it got.
I'm looking forward to the What Would Brian Bevan Say podcast on Wednesday.
And it was a really poor performance, and too many again of their star names were trying to fix things on their own, which is never a good sign. So Toby King has got a great offload game, a late offload game. In the wet, when you've got people around you who are not familiar with the way you play because they're youngsters, sometimes just holding the ball, taking a good drive, holding the ball, not giving it away, it's a better bet. George Williams, it's almost as if he knows there's an announcement coming up soon about where he might be next year. I need to do it all myself. And he was kicking early in the tackle count and it wasn't working, but he still persisted with kicking early in the tackle count. And it's like, I don't see leadership. And I get the injury situation, and I get Geordie Crowther goes off, can't come back, but that was a winnable game for Warrington. It was a game that after Hull's performance and Wakefield winning, it's like not how we do it, we've got to win. We can't go to a team that lost at Salford the week before and lose.
Yeah, they're playing Castleford.
Yeah.
And this is all disrespect for Castleford. They're playing Castleford.
Yeah.
Who are not very good at the minute. And then Castleford win. And regardless of injuries, regardless of everything else. And Chris Chester said something in the build-up which could have gone either way. Is that 6 or 7 players are
already signed for next year?
So some people are now the chances are these players who people may think are playing for their contracts or not, that decision's already been made.
Yeah, he knows what positions.
We're not stupid, are we? But the players went out from all I'm told and
played
as if they were playing for contracts or putting themselves in the shop window.
They lose at Salford. The easiest thing to do is make wholesale changes. Chris Chester picks the same 21 players. Changes a little bit who starts and who's on the bench, but I'm investing in you, the chance to put it right. The one thing you could certainly credit Castleford for that you couldn't Warrington was there was a unity about what they did. And we all have our own idea of who should have been the player of the match. Clearly George Lawler at the ground, 51 tackles, none missed. Nobody's going to argue with that. I don't know who got it on the TV because I was at the ground, but I thought Jeremiah Simbikin was the outstanding player on the field.
I've read a few Cass fans say the same. So,
and I think when you look at, you need somebody to set a lead. Warrington didn't have a Simbikin, so he's not the best player. He's not the most talented player. He's an effort-based, aggressive PNG, Edwin Apape type. If he hits you, he's going to hurt you. But he played the full 80 minutes. He was absolutely relentless. He led the defensive line. He didn't try and do anything that he wasn't there to do. And I didn't see one Warrington forward operate like he did. And to me, that was the difference between the two. And again, I defer to Warrington fans who stood on the railway end and got wet.
I think the Warrington fans who listen and watch this podcast are very much on a similar wavelength.
Can I mention something else? I think it's completely irrelevant, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Mm-hmm. The Warrington coaching staff are the men in black.
Like Johnny Cash.
They all wear their own uniform. So they wear, and it's cool, it looks great, they can pull it off.
So they're the coolest guys. If IMG points rewarded
black
for
trousers, black jumpers, they all three of them wear it, they look great. But they are the only coach team I know that don't wear branded kit stuff. So Gary Chambers does, who sits a little bit apart from them. It's a 5-inch, if anybody was listening. But it's odd, because I think if you're trying to foster this sense of we're all in it together, we're unity, you look at every other club. Paul Wellens is wearing a polo shirt. Brad Arthur's wearing a club tie.
Suit looks very, very dapper, doesn't it?
Paul Rowley's wearing, the colours. The Warrington coaching staff don't wear, they wear their own garb. It may be completely nothing to do with anything, but it doesn't seem as though they're all in it together.
Podcaster slams choice of attire from Warrington coaching staff.
It's totally irrelevant.
But nice.
But it struck me yesterday when they walked up the stand, wet, that's all. It struck me as odd, that's all.
I definitely think we should be the arbiters of what's cool in rugby league.
It's cool. Definitely. They're cool. There is no question. Sam Burgess. Cool.
But
it's not working.
So
Martin Gleeson. Cool.
So after the game. Wrestle. Video wrestle.
After the game.
It wasn't a penalty try because he wasn't. The referee couldn't say that he would have scored a try because he'd
already been held up. What the result showed us was Warrington won't make sense.
I don't want to say easy under pressure because we can't say, oh, people are slagging off Paul Wellens and saying, is he under pressure? And he shouldn't have been under pressure. We can't say the same about Sam Burgess, but they are below Wakefield.
I think.
They could still make the top six.
I think he knows he's not going to be here too much longer. I suspect that George Williams. We were talking about this yesterday. George Williams is a marquee sign. Came back because he wanted to be the missing piece of the jigsaw to get Warrington exactly what it is that they're so desperate for. He's going to leave without them achieving that, and he's going to leave early. And I get that if he's offered a position back in the NRL at the age of 31, why wouldn't you? But when Paul Vaughan probably going to be leaving. When your key players would rather leave than stay because they can feel that the club's going in the right direction, it says something about the club, in my opinion. I don't know if any announcements were made on George. I'm now checking my phone for a second.
Before I forget, there's two things I need to mention. One of which, these are tied into each other because it's the obituaries part of the programme, sadly. One of them, nothing to do with rugby league. Bob Bubka, voice of golf on TalkSport. He was on Retro Yorkshire for a short bit doing golf as well.
Was he?
So
he was.
On the late lamented Terrace Talk, lamented by no one. I hated doing that programme. I got to speak to him. He had the most
mellifluous voice, didn't he?
One of those.
I didn't realise he was 82.
What a voice! Because you can change how you sound to an extent, but you can't. That's given to you at birth. That's.
He was.
What a voice!
And I think he had that sort of voice where people felt that they knew him. So when he passes, you feel sad because you're not going to hear that voice.
Golf entertaining.
Yeah.
Bob Godspot. And Robin Whitfield.
Yeah.
Player.
Yes.
And a referee.
Yes. I meant to look something up before.
James Sco would always tell us, used to wave to the south stand and stuff.
Come out with the ball.
So when people moan about the referees today,
I have a feeling,
up to the
and I'm going to be proved wrong how I am, but I have a feeling that John Lydiard once scored a try for Hull KR against Leeds. I think it was in a John player, where the ball was dropped from about a height of 2 foot, and I'm pretty sure it was Robin that gave the try. And it was on telly, but we didn't have the video.
And all the people know exactly what I'm going to say. That try Neil Summers scored for Bradford Northern in the Challenge Cup at Wakefield, nowhere near the line. He was way behind play, still gave it.
Was he waving to the...
waving to the North.
He was a character. He was a character.
Yeah.
No question.
But I never realised that he had a distinguished playing career as well.
Yeah.
Just not just...
he played.
I think with a Highton as well.
Yeah.
And in that era where everyone looked old. So he was a referee, and he died 90. Was he 80 or something? And so, he might have been younger than that.
No, he was younger than that. 71.
Because he just looked old, because all the referees looked the same in the 80s and 90s. They all had grey hair.
Charge of some very important games.
State of Origin.
Good referee.
I mean, that's...
when they
asked
for a referee to go over, he was the one selected.
When Winfield Cup games. Referees today, no grey-haired referees, by around it.
Well, that's the fine, isn't it?
So, what's... They're all too young referees these days. Is that one of the marks of getting on with it? The referees, well, I don't know, young.
Policemen and referees.
Policemen and referees. Video refs, people moan at, says Kevin. He says waiting for his screen to read so I can actually see it. Deservingly, a lot of the time. Well, the video referees should get things right. There was one in the NRLW this week where the player obviously didn't have control of the ball, still gave it. The bunker. I think it's because they raising all that money for charity by doing daft celebrations.
They did raise a lot.
Try July, but
so I don't know if any of our Warrington posse agree or disagree with anything we've said. But
let's go on and talk about Robin Whitfield. I meant to mention that at the start of the programme when we were distracted by the game, but when referees were characters and also booed mercilessly by
the South Stand.
Yeah, but you don't get referees the same shape anymore either.
No.
Well, that's from being a player. Simply fixtures this week. There's only 3. Thursday night, the big one, Wakefield versus Leeds, the Peter Fox derby.
Are we going?
I hope so. I've asked. Wigan Catalans on Friday.
TT down.
TT down. Wigan Catalans on Friday. Hull Huddersfield on
Wigan
Saturday.
Catalan's interesting. Because Catalan are going to make their announcement tomorrow about their new coach, looking to a new era. Wigan confidence a little bit low. Don't expect
Wigan by
a shock, but interesting.
Hull Huddersfield. Huddersfield has been pointed out were booed off at half time.
I'm not surprised.
Carl Kirkpatrick was a good one. Now he got chased off Bellevue with someone, a woman trying to chase him off with with an umbrella. So we don't
manager.
Yeah. I keep getting mixed up with the CEO at Warrington.
That's Carl Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
he wasn't a ref.
No one chased him off with an umbrella. Championship mentioned earlier: Bradford 28, Oldham 12, Batley 16, Halifax 18. That sounded like a fascinating game. Yeah. 10-6 up at half time, Batley, but unable to win. John Keir's 700th game as a coach.
Astonishing.
I assume we're going to have sent him a bottle of whiskey in the post. Sheffield.
Wigan assistant.
Oh yeah. Sheffield 6, London 48. The Sheffield.
Not a great result for Sheffield this year. This year has not gone well for them.
Not well at all. They are third bottom of the table. Toulouse 24, Featherstone 22.
Late try, won it, I think, for Toulouse. Played at Colombier.
Well, no one's playing at their proper grounds these days, are they? Because Halifax are playing at Hudson.
But that's it again. A good performance by Featherstone.
Winner 16, Doncaster 20. Now this sounds like the most ridiculous game. Long injury break. Doncaster have 2 players sent off in the first half and win.
Yeah.
What a performance from Richard Horne's men. They should be the team of the week for that.
I also
to have.
First thing is Jake Mason's
he's okay,
and that's the main thing. And one of the reasons there was a delay of the amount of time that there was is because the doctor was tending to Jake Mason, and you can't not have
the horse racing when they delay.
Yeah. Does that? Having looked at the table, does that mean Widnes now probably won't make the 8?
They're 5 points behind.
Yeah.
They're in the purgatory bit in the middle.
It's going to be difficult for them.
And York 26, Barrow 12.
10 league games on a trot. Back on top of the league.
They are on points.
Heading for Super League York.
Well, that's exciting, isn't it? And they're heading for Bradford on Friday, where they'll play Halifax. Yeah. Saturday, Barrow Toulouse. Sunday, and now there's no Super League games on Sunday, so if you fancy some rugby, you've got Championship, League One, and the Women's Super League. Fixtures in the Championship: Doncaster Batley, Featherstone London, Oldham Hunslet, and Widnes Bradford. Featherstone London could be an interesting game. Phil says, where is Williams going? Dolphins apparently out of the running.
Maybe why that hasn't been an announcement today, because we thought it would be today.
Pins up. The Women's Super League games on Sunday. Barrow Lee, Warrington St Helens. Didn't they play a couple of weeks ago? I know there's only 8 teams in Women's Super League, but still. Wigan Leeds and York Huddersfield. Well, I hope Wigan Leeds is streamed somewhere.
It would be nice if it was.
I know York will probably stream their game against Huddersfield. Well, no, they might not do, are they? Because the men are away. No, we'll see. League One, Dewsbury 26, Swinton 6. Gould 26, Keighley 12.
They're on a good run at the moment with Gould. Was that at Featherstone?
It was at Featherstone.
Yeah.
Close enough. Newcastle.
There's a feature in here about how rugby league is continuing in Ukraine, and it starts with the generosity of Keighley of getting the shirts out there. And, whether you're a Keighley fan or not, that's a fantastic initiative.
We've got no excuse, have we, if we can't get rugby league played in places in this country when there's an actual war going on.
People are playing rugby league in the Ukraine. Domestic competition, particularly at youth level, is going ahead, and that is just ridiculously commendable, as indeed is Keighley's support of getting them kids.
Before more League One news, his people. Kevin, who is now our #1 fan. Well done, Kevin. Okay. I think that's because he paid money. Pangai Jr. coming to Warrington, happy about that, but we seem to get a player and lose one at the same time if Vaughan goes. George Williams said his future will be decided by Monday. Have you heard anything?
No, I just looked if there was an embargo press release, and I've not seen announced at the moment.
Denny says, another great weekend for the Broncos, both men and women. I was at the women's game and they defended well for the first half hour, then took control. They beat Alton in the Northern Championship, where Cardiff won away at Bradford. Did our
woman score?
She didn't score, but she played. But the game was called off after 60 minutes due to the weather. Or maybe just they couldn't be out. Then you walk it. Right. So, you want to be there in the rain, wouldn't you? Super League ready. So well done to Cardiff Demons as well. I should have the league table really, but I haven't got it. Also in League One, Newcastle nil, Rochdale 60, and in the big one, Cumbrian Derby.
Yes.
Whitehaven 8, Workington 22 in front of attendance of not given. Gaul have got Rochdale this Sunday, which I'm going to assume is not at Featherstone because Featherstone are also playing on Sunday at 3 o'clock.
No, but I think there are only 2 games.
And then they're back at the Victoria Beckham Pleasure Ground.
Yeah. Well, the David Beckham Pleasure Ground.
For those who remember that one from earlier in the season. I'm trying to get on the Rugby League website, which I don't even know why I'm bothering. Keighley Whitehaven, Newcastle North Wales, and Swinton versus Midlands are the other games this weekend.
Midlands need a reboot.
Yeah, they had the bye this week, didn't they? Because
they should have been playing Cornwall.
Yeah, who don't exist.
Fire Engine just went back that way without its lights flashing.
Well, that's a positive, isn't it?
So, for anybody who was worried.
I'm trying to get the Women's Championship table up, but I can't work out the RFL website. So I'll give up on that. But I assume Cardiff and London are near the top, which is good, along with Featherstone. So that's a positive, and a fairly positive week of stuff. We started with the Ashes in London, and that's exciting because there's
and the
people
around it.
And we end with Ukraine and Keighley and their positivity bit there. Not the positivity of the war going on, but apart from that bit, what's going on? A positive week of stuff, unless you're a Huddersfield fan or a Warrington fan or what's that about week?
We've got cake.
Cake, yeah, we're off to our cake. Back next week, we might have a guest next Monday, might we?
Yeah.
Him, yeah. Not James Child, so
Well, he might be.
Well, he could be here. But yeah, thanks for watching. Look out for Phil being bemused by the Rugby League game, which will be coming up possibly tomorrow. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. The magazine is out. I've got to think about what I'm going to write next month. First, I'm going to tidy up the newspaper because I've left it in state.
No, I'm just seeing what the headlines are. I don't think we missed anything.
But we'll see you next week at the same time. Thanks for watching, and don't give us money, Kevin.
Don't give us money. Let